Tzom. We spoke last time from the Shlach Kodesh that we're joining the day to the night, as we do in the morning, the night to the day. It's a special Eitzvah Tzom. We brought halacha. Now we're going to talk a little bit about how we're joining the end of the year to the new year, and we're going into the davening with Lecha Dodi, Kabbalah Shabbos. The new year begins with Shabbos Kodesh. So I'm going to mention the concepts of what the parts of the Kadodi we say, especially before we skip. We say Likra Shabbos Zechun Alecha Ki Hi Moka Brocha Merosh Mekedem Nesuka Sof Maaseh Machshava Techila. So this pasuk for me was always something that really, this song from Alphabets, the holy alphabets we see here has his initials in Lecha Dodi, Shlomo Alphabets from Svat. He put into it the essence of this time that we're in now. It's tremendous Ruach HaKodesh, it's Mistama, and an opportunity when we say this every week, especially now, this Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah, Ba'aleinu L'Tova, we're going to say, L'Krat Shabbos L'Chu Leicha, we're going out to Shabbos. It's not something, and we're going to mention this at the end from another sefer, the concept of being proactive, of going out. It's not something which is just, it just comes. We have to actively go greet the Shabbos Kodesh. And Kihi Moko Brocha. So we mentioned this when I spoke in the shul when the Rav was away. I appreciate the Rav giving me the opportunity to speak again. And also we mentioned it when I spoke here in the shul Min Chamarev, the concept that Elo has in it all the brocha, all the koyach to bring panasa and shefa for the new year, that we should want that brocha to be for everybody. So when the kavana I have when I say this, ki ha-makor brocha, and not just this time of year, but really every Shabbos, because really every Shabbos is connected to the concept of Tishrei. So really, what we're experiencing this Shabbos is the ideal kind of Rosh Hashanah and beginning to Tishrei, because the whole Chodesh Tishrei, Chodesh Tishri is Shabbos day. We'll carry on with this Lecha Dodi in a moment. I just want to read the pasuk in Tehillim. We're going to be saying, and we say every Yom Chamishi, Tiku b'chodesh shofar. There's so much light here, we just have to concentrate it very quickly. The idea that Tiku b'chodesh shofar, that when we blow the shofar, the renewal, what's the renewal? The renewal we know is Rosh Hashanah, B'keser Yom Chagenu, and it's the time when everything is B'keser, it's covered up, the moon's covered up, Yom Chagenu. This is for the day of our festivals. So the Rosh Tevis of Tikku B'Chodesh Shofar is Rosh Tevis Taf Beis Shin. This is Shabbos. The whole Chodesh is Shabbos day. So we don't even need to blow the shofar. We've been learning, thank God to Rav Shlomo over here, the ideas of why we don't blow the shofar on Shabbos and the Pneumius as well. But in this pasuk is already a very important remez, because the Rosh Tevis is showing us that blowing the shofar is Shabbos. Tikku B'Chodesh Shofar. There's an experience of Shabbos by blowing the shofar, and specifically it's a time of B'Keser Yom Chagenu. So now we're going to jump back into Lecha Dodi, and we'll explain the B'Keser part in a moment. So as I said, Elul is a time of Tshuva, it's a time to pray, it's a time we're now at the climax, we're in the days of Bereish, Maaseh Bereish. There's a lot of oil going on right now. As we speak, we're already by Yom Shlisha, I believe, and the Cheshbon, people keep Cheshbon of each day, but Maaseh Bereish is actually Yom Revi or Yom Shlishi. The Rabbi will help us. I'm not sure, but the concept is when we get to Rosh Hashanah itself, it's already Yom Shishi, and then the second day of Rosh Hashanah is already Shabbos. So even in that Cheshbon, the second day is already Shabbos as well. So there's a lot of Shabbos contained in Maaseh Bereish, in the whole concepts that we're in. So what does it say, Vaiter in Lecha Dodi? Merosh Mekedem Nesuka. Merosh. What's the Rosh? Come on, everyone. What's the Rosh? Rosh Hashanah. It's the beginning, yes? Mikedem, what's that? Yom HaKodesh, Yom Kippur. So you can call it Yom HaKodesh, because the idea is it's such a holy day. It's the holiest day of the year. Nesuka, and the idea of Sukkos, yeah? So we have within Lecha Dodi a map of the Shabbos we're about to experience. Why? It's a very deep concept. We won't go into it too long, because once again we need to focus on Rosh Hashanah and the time we're in. But the concept of Tishrei, the concept of Shabbos, the seventh month, Shabbos, the seventh day, is you're experiencing the Rosh. What's the Rosh? Leil Shabbos is the Rosh, and that's Rosh Hashanah. The day, it's brought in Svarim, is Yom HaKodesh. When you bring out the Torah, it's the second Luchas. you're makabel the Torah anew. You're now clean from the avodah of Shabbos. The Shabbos is mochlin the kolavonis. You're clean. You're now at a state of Kabbalah Satorah, the real panimis of Kabbalah Satorah that takes place in Yom HaKodesh and Yom Kippur, that Shabbos day. And then you go into Sukkah. Now you're by the third meal, Shalos Sudas. And that's the concept that Tishrei is a map of Shabbos. It's a Shabbos spread out. It's opened up. So we get to experience the whole Chodesh HaShvi, what Shabbos is, on a longer form, in a bigger way, in a bigger Zman. And it should excite us. So if as much as we enjoy Shabbos in Shirat David, imagine a whole Chodesh of Shabbos in Shirat David. Yeah. So comes the climax, and for me it'll be my first. Sof Maaseh b'machshava techila. What's the Sof Maaseh b'machshava techila? Anyone going to guess? Where would that be in Chodesh Tishrei? This is my own Chiddush, so you can disagree or agree. Shana Rabbah, Simchas Torah. Yeah, and even if you want to say, there's even Sfarim that talk about that even Shabbos Bereshis also has in it, obviously, the Rashis, but it has it in it the concept of the Ravin of the Chodesh. It's like the Spitz of Chodesh Tishrei that you can talk about. It's the Sof Maaseh Machshava, the first thought. What was Hashem's first thought? The first thought of Hashem was what? To Maaseh Bereshis, to create Am Yisrael, to create the world, to have a Bria. That was the first thought, Maaseh Chesed, to bring down neshamas and create this opportunity for us to live and have a mission and to do with God's will. So this is what's happening on Chodesh Tishrei, that the climax of Shabbos, the climax of the month is Sof Maaseh, the end is the Maaseh, because it all comes back to the original thought. The original Rotzen. We spoke about last time, we spoke the concept of Rotzen and Sinor, and these ideas are very deep, but the concept is that we are entering a time where we're now going to be in Shabbos for a whole Chodesh. That's how we're explaining this. As we said, even the beginning of the Chodesh has a remez when we're blowing the shofar. Tikku b'Chodesh shofar is Rosh Hashanah Shabbos. But the second part, B'Kesed Yom Chagenu, then we're going to turn to, I believe, the Baal Shem Tov. First, we're going to explain something really, really important. And the Baal Shem Tov, he explains the idea of Anochi Asta, the idea of the last week's Shabbos. I wasn't here, I was in London, so I was experiencing a little bit of the Hasta, the double covering over there in Chutzlar. It's intense, but Baruch Hashem, I feel very honored that I was able to do good shlichus there, connect to a lot of good neshamas, and we'll mention one of them soon, Rabbi Yaakov Klein. We're going to quote from his sefer, hopefully if we have time. But the idea, how long do we have, by the way? Anyone keeping time?
15 minutes.
Oh, amazing. So we have the idea of the Hasta, this double covering, Anochi. The Baal Shem Tov's Anochi that's like the Pnimis is within even the covering. And the biggest Gilui comes at a time when it's the biggest Hasta. Who says this? So, thank God, my favorite sefer in the world right now is Reb Leibel Eger. Yeah? Baruch Hashem, I have the schus to have been connected to a lot of tzaddikim who are very mukusha to the light of Reb Leibel Eger, either through Rav Sodok or his Chavrusa, or now we have the schus. For me, this year has been a schus of learning Shabbos, Nei Shalach, his Rebbe, and also the derech of the Chassidus that he came from originally through the Kotzker and all the way back to Yiddish Kodesh and back to that derech, and also the Choser. So we're going to hear just one little idea from the Reb Leibel Eger. Hayom Hazeh, what is Rosh Hashanah Hayom Hazeh? Nikra Bekesa, Shu Inyan Hiskasus. This is the idea of the covering up. Emes B'Yom Hazeh Hi Ika His Galas Yesh Ma'ayin Bereshis Abriya. Ki Zos Hi Ika His Galas Shabo Ayidei Ha'elem V'Hiskasus. So this is a Gavaldik Torah, very small, and he's basing it off the Tehillim we just quoted, the idea of Bekesa, in Tehillim Pei Aleph in Psalm 81, the idea of this covering of the moon, the covering, as we said already, is connected to the idea of Hasta upon the idea that Hashem's hiding himself, but at that time is really the tremendous Gilui. This is really important to know for our generation, where there's the biggest cover-up ever in history, like politically, economically, everything's covered up. People's hearts are covered up. I was talking to a Yid in London, he works for Aish, and he came around to just every so on we get together. For some reason he thinks I have something worthwhile to say to him. So I had the schus to mention this concept to him, that the Rabbanim that I had told me that when you work with Yidden, especially when, I was a midnight rabbi, I was out on the streets, and that meant out in Ben Yehuda or nightclubs or anywhere I went. And back in London at this party, wherever it was, I said to him that I focus on the neshama. That's what the Rabbanim told me to do. Focus on the neshama. Don't focus on the money they have or whatever your agenda is. Focus on one thing, the neshama. And that would be the shmir. That would be the protection when you're helping Yidden in a far-off place, or even whoever it is you're helping. You have to focus on the neshama. That was what Rav Dayan Vida told me. He's a Dayan in Bells. There's Rav Samet, Yehuda Samet. He does, big mashkiach and osameh, very hidden person, but very special person. The idea, the gilui that comes out from these places where there's cover-up is not normal. The amount of Torah and chizuk that I've got when I've been in those most covered-up places is bringing true here. Because where Hashem hides himself, this is where you have the opportunity to really grow, to have bechira. We're going to talk about that in a minute again from Rabbi Yaakov. But first, let's get back to the Baal Shem Tov. He said a very important avoda for all of us, being the Rosh Hashanah, the Yom of B'Kesed Yom Chagenu, this day of covering up. What is there also an opportunity to do on this special day? Not just to have big giluim, big revelations of deep machshava, as we mentioned in the shir this morning with Rav Shlomo, that there's 48 hours, it's Yom Arich Tadami, it's a day of Moyach, a day of mind, Rosh, it's the head of the year. So he says here, Ayidei Machshava Zaros. What do we do that? So the Baal Shem Tov says the idea, when we have not good thoughts, there's a certain pasul in the tefillah, and it causes it to go down from its holy place into a place that's pasul. In mispala b'Rosh Hashanah b'kavana, mala koa tefillah shel kol hashana, shachris l'shachris, mincha l'mincha. So there's a special time, and this concept is alive right now. Tzaddikim, I remember by Simai Zilberberg, I always felt there was like an 8 on, like the zman, every minute was a zman, and that's true really on Panemius level. But the Simai always just say, leading up the whole week, this is the last mincha of Chaf Zayin of Tafshin Pei, whatever it was, or Tafshin Ayin or Samech, whenever I was buying. This is the last Shachris, the last. Now comes Rosh Hashanah. It's saying the Baal Shem Tov. This is not just Tzaddikim, like generally, this is the Baal Shem Tov himself, saying that there's all the tefillahs have ability to go up. And this is something which is, throughout the whole of Tishrei, there's a certain aliyah, just like we know about Shabbos itself, there's aliyah lomas, and there's an idea that things go up. So too the Chodesh Tishrei, all the tefillahs have a special power. And to think about that we're now elevating all the prayers we've done this whole year. When we were in a difficult place, having a quick mincha, I was like, I was in London, I had to get somewhere, I'd done Marib by myself at home because I got back so late from whatever. So suddenly that tefillah gets, not only was it in a place of hasta one night, but now we have the ability to elevate it all the way up at Rosh Hashanah, and also it says by the hakafas of Simchas Torah, there's all different 8 Ratzons throughout Sukkot as well, Hashanah Rabbah they say, and it's amazing the opportunities of what we can do in this time without even having to be such big tzaddikim, but just knowing that, having a comfort that there's special 8 Ratzon to elevate all the tefillahs of the year. So that's the Baal Shem Tov. Okay, now that we're just going to say just one very quick advice that I always remember this time of year. It gets from Rabbi Nachman Tzvitzelenu, Rosh Hashanah. I can't believe I'm actually not on my way to Uman right now, and it must be Hashem really wants me here, because previous years I was like the easiest thing in the world for me to get to Uman. People made me go and had everything taken care of. This year I'm standing here in Eretz HaKodesh, and this is where Hashem wants me. And we're going to have to say something from Rabbi Nachman such a day. And I remember by Tzaddikim, when people would ask them, why aren't you by Uman, why are you by Uman Rosh Hashanah? And he would answer them, I have a Lukuti Moran, I put it next to my shtender on Rosh Hashanah, he has a Kedushas Levi, and I'm with the Tzaddikim. That was the answer back. Rav Simai Zilberg, for example, if you checked his shtender on Rosh Hashanah, which I did, it had a Kedushas Levi and the Lukuti Moran. That's excluding all the other pile of Svarim he had there as well, like the Ketzotz HaChoshen, and he wasn't just learning Chassidus, obviously. He's a big person. But the point, come back to here, Ki Erech HaPayim, Hu Tali B'chinas Emunah. So this whole Torah, Kuf Nun Hey, teaches us something really important. All of us are now saying Yudus Rachamim, correct? Yeah, well, hopefully we're saying Slichos, and as we go through this time, we're going to say it more and more, until Yom Kippur, Yom HaKodesh, we're going to say it so much, it's going to bring us to the highest of highs by Ne'ilah. the amount of times you see use the rachamim again and again, this idea of Rikas Apayim is a very important concept. Rabbi Nachman says it's der v'zeh, it's the same concept as Amunah and Emes. This is this Torah Kufn and Hay by Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is the concept of Rikas Apayim, Emes, Amunah. These three beautiful, real concepts that we all need to live with and apply. So when they're saying it's a rachman, we're not just saying a Rikas Apayim, Erech Apayim, because of it's, for Hashem. Obviously, the whole concept of tefillah is to change ourselves, become more godly, more like Hashem, more patient, more Arikas Apayim. So this is the time where suddenly, Erev Yom Tov, Tishrei, we feel this pressure to not only daven a lot and pray a lot, so we hear these ideas from the Baal Shem Tov. We now have to build the kelim, the vessel, for those prayers, and make sure that, for example, Shalom Bayis, Hinachbonim, all the things that we care about should have a place and have a time that flow in a healthy way. And for me, this concept of Rikas Apayim is the eitzah, is the advice. Because now, I'm going to be patient. And what one Rav said to me, Moshe, his last name, he was a very important person to me. For some reason I can't remember why I don't. Anyway, it'll be a discuss for him. And by the way, it's reminded me that I'm dedicating this class to Yitel Bas Ezriel Zatzal. She Reb Neustadt. If anyone had kesher with her, she was Reb Ezriel Tauber's daughter and Reb Neustadt's wife, and also one of the biggest Chassidot, how you say it, of the Talmud Rebbe, my Rebbe. And she has a shlichus in the whole world. If anyone's heard of her, I don't know if you have, but she helped thousands and thousands of people, and went in the way of her father. Reb Israel Tauber is also a very famous person from the Holocaust and did amazing things for me personally and for Am Yisrael. So we're having her in mind. She just passed away suddenly. But the idea of Rikas Apayim, this is the key point. Have patience with yourself, all of you, including myself. The best advice I got was to have patience with myself. Because if we have patience for ourselves, we're vadai have patience for other people. That means patience in our avodas Hashem, patience in our parnasa, patience. I went to see my Rebbe, talking about my Rebbe, the Talmud Rebbe. We went Kabbalat Kahal, and my Rebbe is a relative of Rav David over there. Is that right? From the same mishpacha, Tversky, correct? Your mishpacha? Yeah. So what did the Rebbe say when we went to Kabbalat Kahal? We walked in, he's giving us honey, and the simchas hachaim and the love. We feel the love. He's calling out all our names. And by the way, I'm very nervous to speak in front of Rosh Hashanah. I don't know why, but I am feeling that. It was easy when he wasn't here. But he was giving out honey. I remember at one time I started speaking in front of my Rebbe at the Bar Mitzvah, and Baruch Hashem, he left. I was so relieved. Because they asked me to speak at that moment, and he, thank God. And I don't think it was because of me he left. I think he just is a busy Rebbe, didn't have time. But anyway, to end off this point, that the Rebbe said to me and to my family, V'ruach HaKodesh, mamish, patience. He said, if you have, in the past he spoke more about simcha, other things, but he said to me, just have patience with the process. I said to my family, you will be matzliach in everything, but just be patient with the process. Get rid of the lachas, the pressure. And that was like a game changer. Kind of lachas, say all this Torah, no, patience. These are deep concepts. Let's let them go inside. As there's all these breathing techniques. Of Shlomo come up to me one time and just breathe. It's true. We have to just go with the flow. It will work out. And as we said, even in the biggest cover-up is the greatest revelation. That's what we just learned before. Now to end off, I gave a Gewaldige shir today in my own home. Nothing was working, so I really had to apply this patience idea. But it worked out besaf. And the biggest chizuk is I stayed by Rabbi Yaakov Klein for Shabbos, and I had sudas by another Choshev Rav, Baruch Hashem, and then I was with all my family the other way, and phones in my face on Shabbos, and barbecues being made, and all kinds of other Chilul Shabbos I had to be around, and famous people, millionaires, this and that, really interesting Shabbos from Rabbi Yaakov and another Rav to this, to that world. It was amazing how Hashem could put you in one place, in one Shabbos, and then another place. I'm sure Shlomo can relate with all his travels. But the idea of being by Rabbi Yaakov, he gave me this sefer. And he was so mechazik hearing about Shir David, what's going on here, the little, that I could give over in my small way, explain a little bit the avoda and the chizuk and the fact that I really Because one of the issues I had when I spoken to him back in the day is I've never found a kehillah in Eretz Yisrael. Even having a Rebbe doesn't mean I found a kehillah. And this is a kehillah, be'emes. Like, thank Hashem. There's something to go into Rosh Hashanah to thank Hashem that, I mean, maybe you're used to already, but for me, I've been here 25 years or more in Eretz HaKodesh, and to finally feel a place I can feel somewhat call my kehillah. This is a community, a real community. And it's only at the beginning, it seems like. So, Baruch Hashem, chal chal. So he was very impressed. Anyway, he gave me the sefer, and to just end off, the concept of being proactive. That was what was in my mind right now. I'm teaching at B'nai Akiva right now, and they asked me to talk about intimacy. So I didn't want it to just be only about intimacy. I needed like a formula that I could ground it into something that they could take with them, values that go beyond intimacy. The program wanted me to talk about that, but I'm making sure that they're going to come away with certain key points. So the first point I discussed with them about intimacy, about getting into the whole class, was being proactive. Where did I get the concept of being proactive? I read a book a long time ago. I recommend this to everyone and anyone, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if anyone's ever read it, but it's by a non-Jew, Stephen Covey, and it's gewaldic. I know we're in a base midrash, but he has already haskamas from Rav Olowik and Chabadniks, and everyone around and around has read it and seen that it's like a Torah-dic book written by a goy. Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, he just had Sata Dishmai and tuned into the concepts, universal truths of this world, and we need those kind of truths more than ever. So what I did is I took his 7 habits and expanded it to the 10 habits, because I wanted it to fit the Sfiras Elyonim, I wanted it to fit our world. I added on an extra few. But the first one is being proactive. Being proactive. What is being proactive? So straight away, the first time I've opened up his book and looked inside, other than when I looked at acknowledgements towards Rav Shlomo and other Choshev people, I open it up, and inside, straight away, the first thing I see is all about Viktor Frankl, Dr. Viktor Frankl, about being proactive. Yeah, the idea of logotherapy and the concepts of choosing. The concept he brings Rav Kook, he brings Rabbi Nachman, he brings Gewaldige Tzaddikim, and he brings Viktor Frankl. This is Rav Yaakov Klein, and it's in his book on the whole concept of the lost princess. Everyone should know it by now if you're in Shir David and been here a while. So the idea of the story of the lost princess, but the main point of being proactive that he focused on in this part of the book, it was like, wow, such a revelation. You know, I go to London, come back with a book, and I really didn't know what to talk about today in my weekly class. I try myself responsible to say something once a week somewhere. If it's not in front of you, Choshev people, then at least I'll do it online, and maybe a few hundred people will hear it at some point or another because it's on Spotify, this place, that. But eventually it gets somewhere, as Rosh Shlomo testifies. Once you put it on the major platforms, it gets places, it travels, and you'd be surprised. And that's why I recommend all of you in your own way should have your own sort of like place to give over. It's very important, especially nowadays. We have a responsibility. In my opinion, I spoke about this when I spoke at the JLE in London. The idea that everyone in there don't just want the Anhala and the Rabbonim to make this an amazing place like the JLE was for me when I first did Tshuva over there in London. I said to them, all of you guys right now realize you all have your own shlichus, your own mission, and all of you can give over. All of you can make an improvement here in the infrastructure in whatever way and contribute. And that's the idea, once again, of being proactive. We have that choice. We have that choice to not react to a place, but to be proactive, to be positively involved and engaged. How can we help this place? And this concept of choice, Rabbi Nachman says very deep. He says that we never lose it. We're always Ba'al Bechira. And I will end off with this point, and I think this will be the conclusion of the whole shir. That since we're in the generation, Baruch Hashem, with the biggest cover-up ever in history, the biggest cover-up of neshamas, the souls so covered up with thick layers of, without getting into all these painful realities that I'm sure the Rav hears about day after day, and all of you see on the news and this and that, or even, God forbid, go through it yourself in your own way. The idea that we are the generation of Ba'al Bechira. This is another chiddush I'm saying, and it connects into the beginning of the class. Sof Ma'aseh Machshav Techila. We have the power to choose. This is Rosh Hashanah. We can choose. Choose what our year's about. It's not just Hashem is gozer on us like this scary thing. This is a real relationship with God, and He wants us to choose. Char T'chaim. We have to choose. So the idea is, in our door, there never has been a reality. This is chiddush, but I think it's emes. We've had the ability to choose more than ever. All of us, right, every second right now, can choose what we look at. I have an assignment with the phones. I'm sure each of you have your tests. Like, do I focus on the Rav Shir or do I look at my phone? Do I focus on davening or do I look at my phone? That's for example. And forget about, once you're on the phone, now it's, depending on who you are, all the nisyonos that come with that. And the Bechira, the point of Bechira, there never was such a point of Bechira ever in history, that what you could choose to do with it. You could choose to elevate the world. You could choose to go off into your own self-indulgence, whatever. And this is a choice that never was. I remember speaking to Rabbanim from the old world. Like they wouldn't see a Nisoyan maybe once a month, maybe once a year. Because the streets were empty, it was a different world. The fact we're all so exposed to so much every moment and we have choice on the highest levels. So this makes us one, Balit Tshuva on a certain level, all of us, because we have to constantly do Tshuva on the Tshuva again and again on all the choices we're doing, and it's a very intense reality to live in. But at the same time, it shows how precious we are to Hashem, that we're constantly showing our love to Hashem more than ever in all the generations, that we're choosing Him again and again and again, like no other generation. And on that note, we should all be blessed. The fact that we are such a generation that choosing Hashem, such a place, Shirat David, with such love, everyone should be blessed. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it.